Could you please just sit in pairs? Thank you. And then we're going to tango. Not. No. I promise. I have no idea how. Thank you. Start. All right. Today we are going to introduce you a little bit better to the intervertebral joints. So we've got Nina's going to do the whole basis of it, and then we'll just move on and share it around a bit. Nina did wonderfully get us a part of a sheep's spine. It's actually the lumbar spine. So if anyone wants to have a look afterwards. And some interesting facts about sheep, they have got 6 lumbar vertebrae, not 5. So there you go. And Nina's cat did have a little bit of a play around with it, so she's had a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle and hopefully put it back together in the right spot. That's it. Well, you can start. Oh, sorry, I've got to introduce. We've named him Ivan Ivanovich. I'll let Nina explain that one later too.
The topic of the presentation is the intervertebral joint. Where are the intervertebral joints located? They are located in the spine. The human spine extends from the base of the skull to the pelvis and made of 33 vertebrae, spinal bones called vertebrae. There are 3 intervertebral joints between each adjacent vertebrae from the axis to the second vertebra of the cervical spine to the sacrum. One joint between the vertebral body and 2 joints between the facets of the adjacent vertebral arches. The spinal column provides structural support for the body and protection to the GI spinal cord within it. The spinal column forms the central axis of the body and has a role in posture and movement. The spine consists of 5 regions: the cervical spine, the thoracic spine, the lumbar spine, the sacral spine, and coccyx. But only 24 vertebrae, 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, and 5 lumbar, they are movable. And they give the vertebral column considerable flexibility. In adults, the 5 sacral bone vertebrae, they are fused together to form the sacrum, and the 4 coccygeal vertebrae, they fuse together to form coccyx. From the side, the spine has 4 curves. The inward the cervical spine and lumbar spine curves are called lordosis. and outward thoracic and sacral, they call kyphosis. Prior to birth, the spine has C shape, and there are 4 distinct curves in an adult. These curves develop as a result of the accommodation of the skeleton to the upright posture. The curved vertebral column provides significant advantage over a straight rod. It is able to resist much higher compressive load. It's easier to understand what happens in the spine by looking at the basic constructional unit of the spine, which is a vertebra. And then we will look at the smallest functional unit in the spine. All vertebrae share a basic common structure. They each consist of vertebral body designed to bear weight. The size of the vertebral body increases as the vertebral column descends. And we can see it from the picture. Very visual. And posterior vertebral arch, designed to protect the neural elements. The vertebral arches have a number of bony prominences which act as attachment sites for muscles and ligaments. The spinous processes of the movable vertebrae can usually be palpated. And we have a big activity now.
We're just going to ask everyone to try and turn around with their partners and just see if you can palpate all the spinous processes. But there is a little trick for when you are trying to go, like, find the area between your cervical and your thoracic. So if you find the one that pokes out the most, just under the base of your neck, and then do a little chicken neck type of thing. So the one above it should move. So if it's moving, you're probably still on a cervical vertebra. If it stays in one spot, that will be your T1. So it's just an easier way to find the difference between your neck and thoracic spine. I should have said that a bit easier. If you put one finger on the one that pokes out the most and one finger on the one above it, and then do your little forward movement. So one of them's probably not moving. So that will be your T1. Yep. The one above it will be your C7. Watcha. And you can just walk your fingers down the spine. Just see if you can notice all the ends of the spinous processes.
Now we will study the smallest functional unit in the spine. And the spinal movable segment includes two vertebrae, the intervertebral disc in between, and a pair of facet joints that leave the adjacent vertebrae of the spinal column. What is a joint? A joint is where two or more bones are joined together to allow motion articulation. Spinal movement is the combination of interbody joints and facet joints. Interbody joints. Interbody joints connect an intervertebral disc with a pair of vertebral bodies and intervertebral teeth. They act as a shock absorber. The intervertebral disc is made of the center, nucleus pulposus, and acts, as we discussed, as a shock absorber to cushion a pause between two vertebrae. And the nucleus is surrounded by annulus fibrosus. All these structures are composed of water and collagen. Intervertebral discs make up to 20–30% of the height of the column, and thickness varies from 3 millimeters in the cervical region, 5 millimeters in thoracic region, to 9 millimeters in the lumbar region. From this sagittal view, you can see nucleus pulposus, annulus fibrosus, and plate which connect vertebral bodies. The facet joints. The facet joints are a pair of synovial joints between the articular processes of two adjacent vertebrae. The facet joints are located on the back of the spinal column. The surfaces of the facet joints are covered by articular cartilage. It allows bones to move against each other smoothly without friction. Facet joints guiding intervertebral motion like railroad tracks for a train. Mobility of spine. With a few exceptions, movement within any given intervertebral joint is relatively small. When added across the entire vertebral body, entire vertebral column, however, this small movement can yield either considerable angular rotation or flexibility. Movement consists of flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and rotation. Yes, we can show. And the amount and direct of motion in a segment is determined by facet orientation, which is really important, frontal, which is in the cervical region and thoracic, and sagittal in the lumbar spine. and also the vertebral body to disc size ratio. And we will discuss it later in our presentation. There is an activity now, exploration for you to do. Just a very quick one. Please stand on your feet. Close your eyes. Visualize the image in the spine, vertebra by vertebra, the region of the spine, 7 vertebrae of the cervical spine, 12 vertebrae of the spine, 5 vertebrae of the lumbar spine, sacral spine, and vertebra. Pay attention to the curves of the spine. And slowly, if you need to open your eyes, otherwise bring it with the closed eyes. Very, very slowly bend down. Sense changing shape of the spine. And slowly come back. With an intention to reach your feet, with right hand, slowly bend down. Sense deep relaxation pattern in which you are. If you notice the movement down, as if there was a different pattern running. When you finish open your eyes, you will be able to do more when you have their spine clear in the way. And now, it takes over. Very still going. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about time, and here you can see your cervical spine from the side on. You can see the 7 vertebrae starting up here. It's an area that many people have difficulty with, myself included, that we have for our necks, and certainly I will be more aware of. So here you can see the different, the main vertebrae that you're thinking of is your C1 for your atlas. And then it has 2 thick bony arches, and it's wider where the spinal, as this is where the spinal column first sits. So C2 is also called the axis. And this has a little pointy knob on the top called the D, which fits into the wrong. So it does this function, so this is what allows us to get that rotation on the top of the skull. And you just try this and get that an idea if you feel not in head down. You can feel that if you really can actually feel that little movement. Feel the slowly start to come to that feel rotation to C7 is your largest vertebrae, and it is also for your thoracic spine. So this is a, oh dear, I didn't number my slides, so now I'm in a bit of, okay, so here's just another, go back. See, the bit that sticks out here that we were just feeling before, so your C7 is the bit that moves, but where it connects into your P1, it's still earning those number things. It doesn't move as well, so that's why we did that. The C7 still, if we go, can I wait till we get a little bit further on? Can we wait? No. So here's just a different view of your cervical spine, and you can see here the dens poking out of the top there. So you can see these two very, very precious bones here that give us a lot of that, that real movement in the head. I was going to get you to do up, yes and no, but when I was doing my practice, I did it around the wrong way, so we scrubbed that one. So can we do the next one? So here's just a little representation of the difference of the sizes of the vertebrae from the cervical spine to the thoracic to the lumbar. So I didn't realise there was such a big difference in the size of the vertebrae, which I found that was very interesting. And so here you can see the differences. See how this is more narrow. Here you've got a bigger, so this is your thoracic. You have a much rounded body, and here this is even more rounded. So in your lumbar spine, it's where it takes all your weight and you've got load down. So it's a lot thicker. So just, and then here's your sort of side lateral view showing the difference. It's quite interesting. So these little holes here, it's only specific to the cervical spine, and that they actually have the arteries run up through there to blood and soul. Yeah. So the cervical, thoracic, lumbar. Little holes where the arteries run up through there. That take the blood to the brain. And here's just probably not a very good picture, but I really liked it because I really liked that this showed here that real rotation that happens with the C1 and C2, and you can see there the dens pointing up, and so that really gives you a really good representation of what really happens if you want to kind of more mechanical way. I found that really useful. And here you can see how you've got your flexion to the side, and then you can see how they all kind of stack, and then it washes over back. It's really given me a good sense of what's going on in my spine. Here's just a little X-ray I found. It gives you a good idea. You can see those spinous processes that we're playing around with. And I see this one here, and you can see how that, when you extend your head back, how that pops down here and then stops the head from going back too far. Yeah, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So back to Anna's question. So there you can see your 7 here, and then you can see how, a bit hard to see, but you can see how that changes. And so that's where you get a lot more movement. But when you get to your thoracic, it's not as easy to find that there. And at that point, the spinal process starts to fold down there. Oh, I dropped my little, I had another one. I don't know, I must have, did we delete it by accident? I had one showing the facet joints. And the facet joints was showing that intervertebral body joint, where then you can see how the spine, and it gives you that nice little, because you've got your facet joints can actually run this way, or they can run that way. So in the neck. Yes, did you show it? Oh, that's right, you need my hands, that's right.
Maybe that's why we took it out, because we were going to do a little picture, I mean, a little representation.
So, to give you a bit of an idea of the way the facet was done, basically they like that. That's the way down through the spine. So they move
Like that.
I don't know, C1, C2.
Do this.
When you get down to the lumbar spine, doing that,
Yeah.
so and then go.
But in the cervical spine, you're more this way. So, and that allows the neck to also do that kind of chicken movement. Yeah? That was good. I'm glad you remembered that. I was like, where's my picture gone? She boiled that up. Oh, okay. Nina, don't forget this. Everybody, can we sit down again? Otherwise we're not going to be within Zoran's time limit, and he's going to cut us off. So now I'm just going to show you a couple of things that I call diseases of captivity. Those people that are trapped in an office, or just travelling on a train every day, or even just travelling in the car. Just a couple of little pictures to show you what happens in the neck. So you can see here that, if you think about sitting on the train, looking at your iPad, looking at your phone, what happens to your neck? Like you can see here what happens. There's a knife here. There's a little thing like here, you can see, look what happens here when you're doing this to your neck constantly. Look what's happening here. Yeah. I see this all the time on the train. You've only got to sit there yourself for half an hour on the train, and then you sort of off the train and you're thinking, oh, what's that pain in my neck? So the next one. And then here's just, showing if you're sitting constantly slumped at a desk and you're not paying attention to your posture, you're getting a strain on your lower back, you're getting compression on your internal organs, pressure on the ribs, the sternum, and with the constant sort of pressure, everything just starts to ache. With all these these activities. So now I'm going to hand over to Chelsea to do the rest.
well, we're back to where we were anyway, the cervical thoracic junction. We've already been through that. We'll just skip over that. Basically, we've gone through all the different shapes and spinous processes and everything throughout all of the spine already. The thoracic's a little different, where your spinous processes slowly get longer as they come down through your spine here, and then they start to shorten. We've also got the costovertebral joints in there, which Helen covered in her last segment, I think. So yeah, you've also got the joints attached to your ribs, which in itself kind of limits thoracic movement. Yeah, we've already got that going. And that's just another version or view, I suppose you'd say, of your thoracic, to just show how it is attached to the front of you. You know, you can sometimes when you're doing your ATMs, you'll get that kind of a hoop feeling going through your body, or that swaying motion, that you can just see how your spine is attached to the rest of your body. Now, I wasn't going to bore you with all of the muscles on here, but just to give you a little idea of those micro movements that we have when we are doing our ATMs, you've got numerous little muscles that go from either your transverse process to your spinous process on the one above it, or I mean, there's others that go from transverse process to the one below it, things like that. But you can imagine those little muscles when you are doing your small movements. Say if it's on your right side, you only need a very small movement for those muscles to contract, as they'd be stretching on your left side, contracting on your right. But these are those little muscles that we're using when we are just starting to explore our movements. These are the ones I was talking about anyway. They're very, very tiny little muscles. So these ones are going to help you elevate your ribs when you're breathing. We're just starting to show how it is all attached to the rest of your body a little bit. Your cervical is attached to your sacrum when you're doing movements. So everything you do does involve more than just the section that you move in. And as Lockie did in his shoulder presentation, while it's not a muscle that's going to move your spine or help move any of these joints, it is going to affect the movement once you move your arm. It is going to start affecting what's going on in your spine. And same shoulder blades, while they're not actually a mover of your vertebral joints, it's going to influence what's going on in your spine when you do move your scapula or your arm. Same again, this is quite a big one, which goes from all the way from your cervical down through here and even onto your collarbones. So there's front and back, just muscle-wise, that's going to affect spinal movement.
And we are going to the lumbar spine. Can you hear me? The lumbar spine. That is the lower third part of the spinal column. I can show myself. The lumbar vertebral body it's taller and bulkier compared to the rest of the spine. This is particularly because the lumbar spine has to extend pressure from the whole body weight and daily activities like lifting, carrying, twisting. Lumbar disc. lumbar disc pressure can increase by more than 50% when we change from a standing position to bending over, and more than 80% between a standing position and sitting, no back support. The first joints of the lumbar spine move together in a sliding motion, forward and backward. And the range of motion is limited in this joint and doesn't involve rotation, as we just saw from the lumbar spine, our 1-1. If you want, because we have the next activity, if you want to look in details, please come here. Otherwise, we will continue and look at more details. Would you like to see in detail? We are looking at the lumbar spine, the facet joints, the facet joints. Can you see the joint? And if you compare with the spine, the facet joints have different direction. Yes, yes. And again, if you look at the slide, yeah. Fine. We talk about the facet joints. Okay, the facet joints in the lumbar spine, they are in the sagittal, right? And it means they support sliding forward and back, but not the rotation. They restrict the rotation. No. Okay. Coccyx and sacrum and coccyx, yeah, they fuse. Lumbar, yes, and in just a little bit, very tiny one. Can you imagine the joints? And okay, it's that tiny little piece. What? Cervical, 7 are typical, the first one, and the connection between the first one and second are typical, atlas, and then all vertebrae between the C2 and L5, or basically S1 segment. They have intervertebral discs in between. And intervertebral disc consists of the structure, nucleus, pulposus, and what is that? It's another part of roses, and basically they act as a shock absorbers. And they, yes. If you are interested, it was another picture. Yeah. Okay. A lot of rotation happens in the thoracic spine. The rib cage restricted. Otherwise, probably we would be able to do, but quite a significant. And what is please? And yeah, another interesting thing, Zoran pointed. When you see, can you look? Okay, you can study quickly, and then we will continue. Thoracic spine, sit well. thoracic spine one?
T12. Okay, it's
Ah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that is L1 lumbar, and that is T12. T12 has both.
That's T12.
The T12. Can you see the facet joints? It's quite interesting because the lower part has it has both. That is the reason why we really can. Like, yeah, yeah. It has both the lumbar and the thoracic. And now we can see. Yeah. Guys, we need to continue. Mhm. Thank you very much. And now we continue with the ATM lesson. Yeah, we continue our presentation. No, I think we still can have 10 minutes. Yes, yes, I think so. Yes, we have like, 10 minutes. 15 minutes. Yeah. Would you like to continue? Yeah, I don't know. Yes, we finished. Yeah, I just. Yes.
Is that all right there? Yep. Yes, please. We're just going to do an ATM now, or it's called chain of the spine, to try and help everyone just get a good idea of the individual vertebrae. So if you want to lie down on your backs. Can I just say do the usual? No. So if you want to just take notice of your spine, how it's lying on the floor. The weight of it on the floor. And the bits that aren't on the floor. You can put your feet up to standing so that you're quite secure there if you had to stand up. We're just going to start by slowly, gently trying to lift just your cockpit, so just your little tailbone. Very small little area. So it's almost like a little secret lift. Just so that you're not lifting your sacrum as well. Very small lift. A little secret between you and your tailbone. Lift up and down. Next, we're going to add the sacrum. Tailbone and the sacrum. And back down on the floor with sacrum. Tailbone. Let's try that a few times. Sacrum. Back down. Sacrum. add another link to it now. We'll do the tailbone and sacrum. Just roll over the edge of your sacrum to be able to lift that first link, which is L5. Place them back down. L5, sacrum, tailbone. Start at the tailbone again. Tailbone, sacrum, first link, second link at the tailbone. Back down. 4, 5, sacrum, tailbone. Tailbone, sacrum, L5, L4, L3, reverse the order. Simply down to 4, 3, 4, 5, sacrum, and tailbone. Add another link. Tailbone, sacrum, 5, 4, 3, back down. 3, 4, 5. Against feeling of the sacrum. Seven, tailbone, sacrum, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Quickly glide them back down. One by one. With the L1 first. 2, 3, 4, 5, sacrum, tailbone. Just rest for a moment. Quite an interesting feeling. Maybe next time you get up to the L1 area, you try just a little bit of seesaw motion with your hips. You can maybe feel the difference then in those facet points. Tiny little swaying movement when you get to L1. It's quite a nice feeling to notice that difference between your thoracic lumbar vertebrae. The wow factor. When you're ready, just stand your feet a little. Just start with the tailbone again. Sacrum, L5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So if you feel like it, try that little sort of tip thing. Very small, but and we'll add one more link on that plane, try and lift the C12. Gently place them back down in that first order. 12, and into your lumbar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sacrum. Again, coccyx, sacrum, through the lumbar spine. 5, 6. See if you can find the two links together. As you lower your control, see if you can pick up the 11 and lay them back. Notice the breathing. We'll get up to T9 this time. With coccyx, sacrum, L5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 12, 11, 10, 9, we lay them back down into the floor. One by one. Exhaling. Pick up another 2 this time. Start with the tailbone, sacrum, each one through the lumbar. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thoracic, 12, 11, 10, 9, 2 this time. 8, 7. Just lay them back down again. And I'll hand you over to Sue. Continue. Sit on the floor. Put your hands behind your head and start shooting. We're going to do the opposite.
there only 30 seconds. So this C124 is my that and then you know the average to the C1 individual to the line and return the two and three and the two and the two now going to the C1 and two three two five four and the one question with individualized perspective with practical guiding across each other like shaping and then after two and we get to seven. I think it's about I'm going to put it back to seven, five, five, E7, I prefer to visualize this one. So I'm going to leave it up to you to either five, you can visualize two, three, When you're ready. Okay. A little